I clutched the faded photograph in my hand, my heart aching with a familiar pang of longing.
The picture depicted two teenagers, their smiles bright and carefree. They were younger then, she and Liam, their lives an open book of possibilities.
I traced the outline of Liam's face in the picture, my fingers lingering on his mischievous grin. Even after all these years, the mere thought of him sends a shiver down my spine.
She had loved him for as long as she could remember. It was a love nurtured in shared secrets, stolen glances, and a connection that ran deeper than words.
Fear, disguised as rationalization, held me back. The fear of rejection, of ruining our precious friendship, kept me silent. I sighed, the weight of my unspoken feelings settling in my chest like a stone.
Their story began within the hallowed halls of Willow Creek High School.
I was a quiet observer with a heart full of unspoken dreams, drawn to Liam's easy charm and infectious laughter.
He was the star athlete, the boy everyone loved, yet he never treated her with anything but kindness and respect.
I cherished every moment, my heart soaring with a happiness I had never known. I was content for a time to simply exist in his orbit, basking in the warmth of his presence.
As the years passed, their bond only deepened. They became each other's confidants, sharing their hopes, dreams, and fears.
It was during those years, amidst the chaos and uncertainty of adolescence, that I realized the true nature of my feelings. What had begun as admiration had transformed into something deeper, something that took root in my soul and refused to be ignored.
Graduation day arrived, a bittersweet symphony of endings and beginnings. The air buzzed with excitement as students, clad in their caps and gowns, gathered on the football field.
For me, however, the day was tinged with a profound sense of melancholy. As I watched Liam accept his diploma, his smile radiant, I knew that our lives were about to take different paths.
He was headed to a prestigious university across the country, while she would be staying closer to home.
Later that evening, as the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the graduation party, I found myself alone with Liam. We stood beneath the twinkling lights strung across the backyard, the music from the party a distant hum. It was now or never, I realized. This was my last chance to tell him how I felt. Take care of yourself, Liam. I'll miss you.
I'll miss you too, Em.
The years that followed were a blur of college classes, first jobs, and the slow, steady rhythm of life. Emily had poured herself into her studies, graduating with honors and landing her dream job at a publishing house.
Yet, despite the fullness of my life, Liam's absence remained a constant ache in my heart. I had kept tabs on him through mutual friends, learning about his successes, his relationships, his life unfolding on a path that no longer included me.
Then, one ordinary Tuesday afternoon, an envelope arrived in the mail, addressed to her in elegant calligraphy. It was an invitation, thick cream paper edged in silver.
My breath caught in my throat as I recognized the name printed on the card, Liam. He was getting married.
A wave of emotions washed over her, shock, happiness for him, and a profound sense of loss. Liam was marrying another woman, a woman who was not her. That night, Emily found herself unable to sleep. Images of Liam and his fiancée, their faces aglow with happiness, danced behind her eyelids. She tossed and turned, restless and her heart heavy.
The words flowed from my heart, a torrent of unspoken emotions pouring onto the page. I wrote about our shared history, our easy camaraderie, the countless moments, big and small, that had cemented our bond. I wrote about the day I realized I was in love with him, the graduation party where I had come so close to confessing my feelings.
As the night wore on, the letter became her confessional, a safe space for her to finally give voice to the emotions she had kept bottled up for so long. When she finally finished writing, as the first rays of dawn peeked through the window, Emily felt a sense of calm descend upon her. She had bared her soul on paper, and in doing so, she had finally begun to let go. The day of Liam's wedding arrived, a picture-perfect summer day with clear skies and a gentle breeze. Emily, dressed in a simple yet elegant blue dress, stood at the back of the church, watching as Liam, looking handsome and happy, waited at the altar for his bride.
I listened to the vows, the promises of love and commitment, and a part of me couldn't help but imagine what it would have been like to be standing there with Liam.
After the ceremony, as guests mingled at the reception, Emily found herself standing alone, nursing a glass of champagne. As if sensing her presence, Liam turned and saw her standing there. His face lit up with a familiar warmth, and he excused himself from the group he was with, making his way over to her.
Emily, it's so good to see you. I'm glad you could make it.
Congratulations, Liam. You look very happy.
I am. Sarah is amazing.
Liam, there's something I need to give you.
Inside her clutch lay the letter, the confession she had poured her heart into just a few nights ago. Liam took the envelope from Emily, his brow furrowed in confusion.
What's this?
Just read it later when you have some time. It's important.
Before Liam could question her further, Emily turned and quickly made her way through the crowd and out of the venue. As she hailed a cab, she felt a strange mix of relief and trepidation. She had finally said her piece, even if it was in a letter he might never read. Days turned into a week, and still there was no word from Liam. Emily tried to put the wedding, the letter, all of it behind her. Then one evening, as she was about to leave the office, her phone buzzed with a text message.
Can we meet? There's something I need to talk to you about.
They met the next day at their spot, a quiet bench overlooking the river in Central Park. Liam was already there when Emily arrived, his expression unreadable. He stood as she approached, his eyes searching hers.
Emily, I read your letter several times, actually.
Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She'd imagined this moment countless times in her head, but now that it was here, words failed her.
I don't know what to say. It was a long time ago. Maybe I shouldn't have...
Liam reached out and gently took her hand, his touch sending a jolt of electricity through her.
Emily, look at me.
Emily met his gaze, her heart pounding in her chest.
I feel it too, I always have.
The words hung in the air between them, heavy with unspoken emotions. Emily stared at Liam, her mind struggling to process his confession.
You do?
Liam nodded, his eyes filled with a tenderness that made Emily's heart ache.
I was just as scared as you were, Em. Scared of ruining what we had. Scared of rejection.
He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing.
When I got your letter, it was like a punch to the gut. All those years, I thought I was the only one who felt this way. I was so focused on not messing things up that I missed out on us.
Emily's eyes welled up with tears, tears of relief, of joy, of years of pent-up emotions finally finding release. She'd waited so long to hear those words, to know that her feelings were reciprocated, and for the first time in a long time, Emily allowed herself to dream. As they sat there on that park bench, the setting sun casting long shadows around them, Emily and Liam talked. They talked about everything and nothing, about their lives, their regrets, and the strange twist of fate that had led them back to each other. There were no promises made that day, no grand declarations of love or happily ever afters. It was too soon for that. They had a lot to figure out, a lot of lost time to make up for. But as Emily looked at Liam, his eyes reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun, she felt a sense of hope she hadn't realized she'd been missing. The unspoken love that had simmered between them for all those years had finally been acknowledged, given voice and the space to breathe. And while the future remained uncertain, Emily knew one thing for sure. Some loves, even those left unspoken, have a way of shaping our destinies in ways we could never have imagined. As Emily made her way home that evening, the city lights twinkling around her, she couldn't help but think about all the what-ifs and might-have-beens that had plagued her for so long. What if she had been brave enough to confess her feelings all those years ago? Would their lives have unfolded differently? But as she pondered these questions, a sense of peace settled over her. She realized that everything happens for a reason. Perhaps their paths hadn't crossed romantically sooner because they hadn't been ready for each other. Perhaps they needed time to grow, to experience life on their own before they could truly appreciate the depth of their connection. Whatever the reason, Emily was grateful. Grateful for the second chance, for the opportunity to explore the possibilities that lay ahead. As she drifted off to sleep that night, Liam's words echoed in her heart. I feel it too, I always have. And for the first time in a long time, Emily allowed herself to dream.